Good morning. That was so good. It's always so good. My name's Elizabeth Kosick, and I am a volunteer here at Vintage. And this morning, my volunteer role is I get to do announcements and tell you what's coming up. If you are a guest here this morning, I just want to say thank you so much for being here with us and choosing Vintage to worship. We're so glad that you're here. If you're an elementary child, you are welcome to go back to Vintage Kids. They're waiting for you. You're released right now. Our team is excited to be with you. If you are a guest with us this morning, there's a lobby table that we would love to connect with you after service. I'm actually going to be there after service, and I'd love to just say hey and help you get connected with next steps here at Vintage. We also have a special opportunity for you. If you feel new at Vintage or you are new at Vintage, there's something after service today called Share the Story. So at Vintage, we've launched something new. It's called From Hello to Home. So it's sort of a new pathway or journey for people to get connected from basically from hello, like you walk in the door, to feeling like Vintage is your home. And there's several steps or like kind of opportunities to connect that we're rotating through after church. And they have different cutesy little names. But today's is called Share the Story. And basically, it's a low-key opportunity for you to go to the office area after church. You can leave your kids in Vintage Kids a little longer. So yay for that. But don't go to Starbucks. Come instead to the office area and hear a little bit about Vintage's story. So anybody who wants to come and do that and just hear about, like, why are we called Vintage 242? What's our mission? What do we feel uniquely called to in our community? What are some ways that you could get plugged in? Come and hear the story of Vintage. It's specifically sort of about our mission and vision. That's what today is, and it's called Share the Story. It's brief, low-key, won't keep you long because our workers do want to get home eventually, and you do have to take your kids back home. But come to that if you are interested just in hearing a little bit more about Vintage. That's today's opportunity to connect. Also, we really encourage you, if you haven't done so, to tap that QR code that's on like every other seat back and fill out our little welcome form that will pop up there for you as soon as you tap that QR code. You can also scan it here. We call it our welcome form, or there's a physical welcome card that you can pick up at the lobby table as well, and fill that out. That's just a way for you to hear from us. On that, you'll be prompted to fill out our e-newsletter and sign up for that. It's a great chance for you to hear from us during the week, find out everything that's going on. Of course, also connect with us on social media. And if it's the first time that you fill out that little welcome form, we will give you a coffee gift card. So, yay. Okay, a few things coming up. Man Morning, November 22nd. This is like the most wonderful time of year for guys. Like, forget Christmas. This is it. This is where you guys get to do axes, skeet shooting, archery, Chick-fil-A, shoot the things and hit the things and all the things. So come to this. It's November 22nd. It's on Vintage's property. It's 48 acres right up the street on Cedar Crest Road, almost like across from Governor's Town Club. It's $10. It covers all the ammo in the whole world and your Chick-fil-A. So all you have to bring is yourself and a chair to sit on, and it's like the most popular event. But you do need to sign up, so do that on vintage242.com/events. And bring your friends, bring everybody, bring all your dudes. My husband comes, he brings our son. It's just a great morning. So do that. Another opportunity, we have student meal, ministry meal packing. So this is something kind of like a Thanksgiving ministry opportunity, but your whole family can come and get involved. This is Wednesday, November 19. Come as a whole family. You can help prepare holiday meal kits if you're looking for a way to get involved and serve as family. This is a great one. You can sign up to do this as well, or email Natalie at vintage242.com. Natalie Neal can get you involved with this. We're actually staging this at Church of the Vine. It's in Dallas, but this is a great way for you guys to just help pack meals for people in the community who are a little less fortunate and might need a meal. It's a great opportunity for your family to help less fortunate. Get involved with that. Just kind of challenging food insecurity in our own community this season. And finally, best thing that our kids do probably during the holidays is this gingerbread bash and registration. And this is really for all of our families. If you are interested at all in just coming to Vintage and having a holiday time together, all ages, like toddler to grandparents, if you have grandkids who don't even go to Vintage and aren't a part of Vintage Kids, that's cool. You can bring them to Vintage on December 12th. It's a Friday night, 6 p.m. Just sign up to do this, and we will provide all of the sugar and all of the supplies to make a gingerbread nativity, and you just come and show up, and you can make this awesome gingerbread activity. But there's a catch this year. You have to wear the ugliest of ugly sweaters because there's going to be a competition. Ginger wants, like, laugh out loud. okay? So go on Amazon, buy the ugliest, worst sweater that you want, and there's going to be a competition for that. There's also another catch. You can bring friends from the neighborhood, from your community, register them online. There's no charge for them. So $10 for you to cover all your sugar, but no charge for your friends. There's a way to register them online and waive their fee. So everybody can come, and you don't have to have, like I said, an elementary age kid. If anybody in our congregation, if you want to go and just play with gingerbread and play with sugar, just come and be a part of that. It's one of the best things. Every year, our families love it and give a rave review about being a part of this. So come to our gingerbread bash, and there's just 3 ways for you guys to get connected. And don't forget, if you want to stop by in the office area and just find out more about Vintage, don't forget to do that after the service, and I'll see you at the lobby table as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so man mornings be super fun. Please be there. We would literally, actually, now that we've added a golf simulator to our mornings, so those of you who love golf, it's going to be amazing, all right? I cannot wait. It's going to be great. All right, let's dive in this morning. So look at this real quick. If you are wearing one of these shirts, please stand up. Jen, that's you. Please stand up. I can tell you weren't paying attention to me. It's okay. And stand up. Yeah. So everybody turn around so we can see your shirt, right? Yes, everyone can do something. Everyone can do something. Yeah, you guys can sit down. Thank you. You can sit down now, Jen. So just kidding. So anyway, so yeah, super fun. Yeah, this is a friend of ours named Jason Johnson kind of coined this phrase, just honestly around life in general, but specifically around foster care and adoption, right? That we obviously are at church, if you're new at Vintage, who was giving ourselves to the last 10 or 11, 12 years to being a church who is very intentional to answer the need in our community around orphan care, around foster care and adoption. And so this morning we're celebrating that. We're going to be talking about something called pure religion this morning from James 1:27 here in a moment, and talking through all of that. But I want you just to hear me say as we start this morning that we are a church among all the things that we do and all the things that we celebrate. Listen, we don't look at foster care and go, it's more important to God than anything else. It's just something that God's called us to, and we believe everything else that we're giving ourselves to on mission is vitally important too, right? But for us at Vintage, we have a unique call, so we celebrate the things God's called you to, and because you're part of the Vintage family, we just ask you jump on board and celebrate with us and fight for foster care and adopted children all across our community with us. It would be great. Now, I'm going to start this morning with a story some of you have heard me tell before about the time we had probably paid off our property, our land over here on Cedar Crest that Liz was talking about. I did breakfast one morning with the Cobb County Commissioner over that region, over at Arts Bagel on 41. He was a friend of mine, someone I'd known for several years, and we were just talking and said, hey, man, I want to sit down with you and talk about this because I want to get you on board. I want to hear some of your thoughts and figure out, man, some thoughts that you have and how you can advocate for us in this. And so he said, hey, just tell me your story, right? Tell me your story. So I sat down and just began to tell him our story. And I started with the phrase that most of you who've been at Vintage have heard me say multiple times, and it was this: we want to be a church where if we close our doors tomorrow, the community will miss us, right? And I mean people outside the 4 walls. I think you guys would miss us, but I mean people like our community. We have felt reality that our community outside our 4 walls would miss us if we closed our doors. And so he's like, well, tell me about that. So I just began to tell him our stories, right? Telling us how for many years we've been investing in a deep way into Abney Elementary, specifically helping children who are struggling with food scarcity, right? We talked about just investing into and engaging, receiving hope, right? In Paulding County, those children who have been sex trafficked, and we were coming alongside and fighting for them. We talked at length about foster care and how we built up this foster care ministry and all these children who've come through and all of these parents that have been raised up and all the support system, right? I told the support system of everyone here who was coming alongside, and I talked about this, the families who had adopted. And again, like I'm a pastor, so maybe I embellish some of those stories. I don't really know, right? But no, I told them the stories like they were true stories of God's movement and the way that he moved here. And literally as I'm telling the story, I'm not making this up, right? I look over at him and he's like this. Kind of dumbfounded, I couldn't quite say it. And I looked at him jokingly and said, hey man, I said, are you surprised by the level of influence we have in our community for a church our size, AKA we know we're small, right? And he just said, and he's like, literally, Steve, that's exactly what I was thinking. Then he said something. He said something that was a tell about church. He goes, Steve, there are lots of churches in my region. I have to confess, I don't really know any of them because none of them are actually doing anything that are reaching the felt needs of the community that I'm leading. And he looked at me and says, will you please move to my region as quickly as possible? And I said, bro, write me a check, right? No, that was the deal. Listen, the only way the community outside of our four walls will ever miss us is if we are actively loving and serving the community outside the four walls. A church that stays insular in its influence will never be able to expand the kingdom, never be able to see the Great Commission fulfilled, not be relevant to anything that Jesus is trying to do in the world. I want you to think about Jesus' word in the Great Commission in Matthew 28, and then the expectation of Jesus of those who've been empowered by God's Spirit in Acts chapter 1. If you look at it, both speak about going. The first one is explicitly there written. The other one is absolutely implied, right? It says this in Matthew. It says, go make disciples of all nations. The idea is there's an action, that there's a movement, there's a leaving where I'm safe and comfortable to go someplace that I'm not. In Acts chapter 1, he says, when my Spirit comes, you will, and understood, go, be my witnesses in Jerusalem, and then go to Judea and Samaria, and then go all the way to the ends of the earth. The idea of going is a primary understood piece here, and a primary understood piece of the people of God. That we are a people who have been called to go, which means we have to leave something, usually something warm, something comfortable, something easy, and go to an unknown, to a people, and to a place that are in need of Jesus. The idea of going has been an underlying reality of our one at a time study this fall. Jesus, listen, he influenced the world outside the four walls we've been talking about as he left some place, point A, and traveled to some point B, and then always in between, that's where you see 9 out of 10 Jesus miracle stories, right? Movement in the life of someone, usually that had been forgotten by the religious crowd, people who were not honored, those who were forgotten again and again, not always, but so often it was those people who had been forgotten, who had been left behind, right? Who had been left behind and forgotten. Literally, these people that Jesus was coming to. As we looked at stories of Jesus engaging people, that the religious leaders literally would look at and then cross the other street to avoid. Think the story of the Good Samaritan. They would literally say, that's not, no. And Jesus says, yes, I want to engage them. Jesus expressed in that what we'd call pure religion, which we'll talk about this morning, and the Pharisees expressed dead religion, which we will talk about this morning. Speaking to this, Martin Luther, just a great church father, once said about Christianity, the world needs not a definition, but a demonstration. The world needs not more words, explanation, it needs demonstration. These words I'm about to say, I want you to listen to them. You already know them to be true. But I want you to hear them, then I want you to apply them to your life. I want you to see if they speak to who you are and what you're doing in life and what your life looks like, not in your own mind's eye, but do you think people in our community view you this way? It's this: actions are always louder than words. And words are always hollow if actions don't match them. We have right words as Christians, but does our life demonstrate what we say and fight for so vehemently in culture? Does our life model it? We see Jesus echoing this sentiment in John 13:35 when he says, "By this, everyone will know that you're my disciples, if action, going, love one another," right? So the way that we love one another, both the way that we love one another here and love one another outside in the community, that's how people will know that we're actually disciples of Jesus. Or Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." When Scripture talks about, listen, we are the light of the world, what he's saying is, light represents the deeds and the actions that you give yourself to outside the four walls. The way that you are the light, you are doing good deeds and loving neighbors, right? Loving God and loving neighbor. The way that you are expressing your faith outside the four walls to the people out here will be an expression, right, of Jesus to them. They will literally know and glorify. They will end up worshiping God and glorifying him because of your right actions as you go and are Jesus to people. What we do matters. Our actions, your actions, my actions on a daily level, they carry great weight. And God and the world around us are aware. God's aware of our actions, and the world around us is aware. And that might be sobering. That might even be unwanted. I don't want anybody looking at me, definitely not my neighbor, right? That'd be easier. I prefer not to have that happening in my life, right? I don't want that, and I would say, no, it's a really good thing. To talk about this, I want to build out this teaching around this morning around the context of James 1:27, where we get the language of pure religion. It says this, James 1, verse 27, "Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world." The actions are clear. We care for orphans and we care for widows. That's an expression of true religion. Actively loving those who are most at risk and most forgotten is an action of God's love. It's an action of pure religion. Widows were forgotten. Orphans were discarded in this day. It makes sense to a predominantly Jewish Christian culture who did not fight for, did not respect, and did not honor these two, to recognize this is what it looks like. The ones that are most discarded and the most forgotten, the religious leaders never think about when giving yourself to them as a going action is an expression and a good deed that Jesus sees and the community is aware of. It's powerful. These are the right actions that Jesus is following, expecting of his followers. These things are not hard to understand. Caring for people, like that's not hard to understand, right? We get that. Again, today is Pure Religion Sunday, the title taken from verse 27 that I just read. And this is being celebrated all over the world today. Pure Religion Sunday. We've historically called it Stand Sunday. They changed the name, right, to be more holistic in orphan care and specifically attached to this verse that we always read on this day, right? And as we talk about it, it's a day to focus on orphan care, foster care, and adoption. All things I've already said, and we've already said, we are intentional about here at Vintage. If we look at our own story, many people over the years have left the place of comfort to go, right? To go and to become foster parents. Over our time here at Vintage, we had over 100 foster care children come through our four walls. We've loved on and we fought for them. If you look holistically, what we've done over the years, I threw a number out, I think it's accurate, over 1,000 foster children in one way or another have been influenced by the work that we've done at Vintage and people here at Vintage. Like Jen works with CASA, right? They come alongside and fight for foster children. She gets paid a lot, zero, to come and to fight for these foster children. Every single child that she's influencing is for the kingdom of God. I picked on you, now I'm loving on you, right? And so that's how it works at Vintage. We pick on you, then we love on you. No, so we come, she's doing this. This is powerful, right? It's powerful. Like I just say, she's a family member of Vintage. We're going to take that as a win for Vintage. It's primarily a win for you and your family, but a win for us. It's powerful. You're all doing these things over thousands of foster care children just cared for. Listen, out of the 100 children, 1/5 of them, 19 children at Vintage, have been adopted through Vintage families. So we don't expect that every single person who fosters and adopts, 1/5 of our people have, and we think it's a great when they do, right? But we've come alongside and then brought them into be forever family, into this family, and then to a Vintage family. It's powerful. And then all of you in some form or fashion have come alongside and supported these families over the last 10, 11 years. Whether you brought someone a meal, whether you have discipled them or babysat somebody, been part of a community of care, whether you've just prayed for them, all of us have done something along the way to come and to celebrate this idea of going, this pure religion of caring for orphans and widows in our midst. Listen, when I shared this, and I shared your story and our story at Vintage with our county commissioner, he literally was like, I'm undone. This is powerful. And so as we sit here today, I just want to say on behalf of Randall and I, well done. Well done, Vintage. Literally. You're like, I could have done more. Of course you could. So could I. So could we, right? But thank you for what you've done. Well done for the way that we've invested. Like, I've just done this one thing. Thank you for that one thing. It impacted a child. God was honored. Our community was able to look in and see it and be blessed by it and recognize that you are a disciple of Jesus. So well done. As we talk about religion, this word religion here is key in verse 27. It's a word that's rarely, if ever, used in the New Testament. Only 4 times, and 2 of those times actually were in the book of James. Since it's rarely used, I think it's important to note and understand. The word religion here represents this on the screen. It speaks to expressive worship, doing something to honor God versus doing something to be seen. So a lot of times we don't like the word religion. We don't like the word religion because what it usually means for us is dead religion. Somebody acting certain ways, right, and saying certain things, but we don't like their life that surrounds it, right? We do these dead things. We just do things without having a heart behind it. But pure religion, true religion, is worship. It's an expressive act of worship where we want to honor God as we do something for God as an expression of worship, right? It's the difference between pure religion and dead religion. The word is not speaking about salvation here, something done to receive salvation. Remember, salvation is an inward work of God, something God does as we express faith in Him. Religion is not about salvation. The word religion means the outward expression of those who have experienced the inward work of salvation. Pure religion is, I said yes to Jesus and everything changed in my life on the inside. So my religion then is to express my love for God. I then come and say, Jesus, I just want to love you and I want to love my neighbor. Whatever that may look like, going to those that are in need and loving them. That's pure religion. God, I'm giving my life away in humility. In the context of the preceding verses, 18 through 26, which we're going to look at this morning, James was contrasting religion that can fool others, dead religion, with the religion that God knows is genuine. The idea is this. When one has faith in Jesus Christ, it is only normal and natural for this faith begin to express itself outwardly. There will be a new motivating power within, and that new desire is evidence that you are a child of God. There was a day when I would not sit down and express an unending, passionate love for my wife, because I didn't know her. And the first time I saw her, I would have expressed to you that I thought she was really good looking and hot. I would have told you that, right? But I couldn't have expressed a deep, never-ending love for her. But when I when all of a sudden this love, like all of a sudden we have this moment where we fall in love with one another, like I fell in love with Jesus, then whenever I went, it's like, oh my gosh, have you seen my girlfriend, Randall? My gosh, she is amazing. Now, like my wife, she is amazing. I love talking about her. I just love to outwardly express this love that's been birthed on the inside. That's what pure religion is. It relates to Jesus. I have experienced him internally, and I just now with all of my being can't wait to let the world know who he is by the way that I love him and by the way that I love the people that he loves. Pure religion. Remember Martin Luther, the world needs not a definition, but demonstration. Not definition. Listen, Christianity uses lots of words. Christianity says lots of things. We have creed after creed, sermon after sermon, and teaching after teaching. And today we have podcast after podcast. But if we don't put any of it into action to change lives, it is worthless. So let's build out 18 through 26 to get to verse 27 of James 1. James 1:18 says, he chose to give us birth to the word of truth, that we might be a kind of first fruits of all he created. First fruits represents the first generation of Christ followers. You may not know this, but James arguably is one of the first or second books of the Bible ever written in the New Testament. It's one of the very first. It was James, the brother of Jesus, not the apostle James, who wrote this epistle, right? Who wrote this letter. So when it's talking here, their first fruits, saying, we're just the first of many Christians who are to come. It's all that it means there, right? And in this place, he's coming and speaking. He says that the word of truth, right? He chose to give us birth to the word of truth, is not talking about the Bible because the New Testament didn't exist and it's not talking about the Old Testament. What it's talking about is the gospel. Early on in the church, before the New Testament is written, when it said the word or the word of truth, it was actually talking about the message of the gospel of Jesus, his life, his death, and his resurrection, that would be salvation for those who believe. And so when you come into this space here, our takeaway is that James is speaking to those who have responded to the word of truth, the gospel of Jesus, and said yes to him. So these are primarily Jewish Christians who have said yes to the word of God. And he says in verse 21, now that you have said yes to Jesus, get rid of all moral filth and the evil that is so prevalent, and humbly accept the word, the good news of Jesus in you, which can save you. Again, the word, the gospel, saves us. And we must surrender to its leading every day, turning from everything that may try to pull us back into the brokenness of the world. It's the same sentiment James names in the second half of verse 27 earlier. It says, keep oneself from being polluted by the world. Listen, we are in relationship with Jesus. God's Spirit has filled us and saved us, right? But there is still in this world the enemy who is drawing us, the enemy who is speaking and trying to pull us away from the truth of Jesus. It's the polluted nature of the world. But the interesting thing here, in my opinion, is when it talks about this, it's not necessarily one of the gross sins, you know what I mean, like the horrible, massive sins, although it speaks to that. I think he's primarily talking about dead religion. People doing things to impress and make a name for themselves like the Pharisees of the day, rather than people doing things as worship and a heart of love. Ultimately, I think that James is saying, keep yourself from the essence of sin, selfishness, and pride. Instead, with all your actions, keep in step with and be obedient to and follow Jesus. Which comes down then to James 1, 22-25. It's real practical here. I just love this. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror, and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they'll be the ones who are living a blessed life. Those who are walking, keeping in step with God's Spirit, right? Not turning away to selfishness and pride. Those are the ones who will live a life blessed. Nothing screams religion like knowing all the answers. Listen, nothing screams religion like knowing all the answers, knowing all the verses, knowing all the Bible stories and the morality they teach, but never expressing them with your life and your actions. It's as silly as a person who looks into a mirror, walks away, and goes like, wait, what do I look like? I can't remember, right? The idea, hearing and knowing the good news, is then followed by a life of obedience and adherence to the Word of God. Otherwise, the hearing is useless. Another metaphor, it would be like sitting in front of a person dying of thirst, holding 2 glasses and not sharing it with the person in front of you. And so in this space, it says, embrace the perfect law, which is love God and love your neighbor. It's expression of giving your life away. It's a sentiment in verse 25. And as we love God and love neighbor, it brings freedom and blessing. Which leads to verse 26. Those who consider themselves religious and do not keep a tight ring on their tongues deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless. Pure religion in verse 27, again, speaks to our actions. Our actions as worship to God. Here, religious and worthless religion is speaking of those who pride themselves in the outward expression of faith, but who do it to be seen or because it's culturally appropriate. This represents in his mind a religious Jew who now professes faith in Christ. But like many of the Jews, this person's religion is a matter of pride, outward performance. They pray, they fast, they tithe, they go through all the rituals. But in James's example, he doesn't bridle his tongue, which is a really, really big deal. They would say, because out of your mouth comes what's in your heart, right? And James says this man deceives his own heart and his religion is worthless. I would say this person simply betrays the message that they are professing. As we said earlier, words are hollow if actions don't match them. Which comes back to verse 27, pure religion. Right actions that we give ourselves to as an act of worship to Jesus. We foster because we worship as a form of worship. We help those that are in need as a form of worship. Not try to earn something, not to make ourselves feel better about ourselves. We help because we just love Jesus and we're serving him. Pure religion is more than just caring for orphans and widows. We know that. I've already named that. Pure religion, listen, and this is for yourself, and I've literally got 3 sentences and I'm done. It's a heart fully devoted to worshiping Jesus with every action of our lives. But it 100% includes caring for orphans and widows, and at Vintage, thankfully, we are doing that. Remember, the world needs demonstration. It needs us to be a church that loves in actions to the point that if we closed our doors tomorrow, the community would actually miss us. To end this morning, I'm going to invite Randall to come. You can go ahead and come, babe. She's going to take some time and take this message and just practically talk about how, some things that are going on at Vintage, some vision pieces, and just specific and practical ways in the life of Vintage that you can get plugged in. So with that, give it up to my very lovely, beautiful, and amazing wife.
Hi. As he talked about pure religion, we've celebrated every year since 2014. It used to be called Stand Sunday, which you mentioned, but it's basically churches all over the country and also all over the world who are taking time today to basically recognize what God's call is for us as the church in regards to orphan care and foster care. And so, like Steve said, we are so proud of how our church has jumped in and done really well with investing and making a difference. And if you were here 2 weeks ago, Steve did a message in this one series, and he talked about the word compassion. And it was actually really compelling because what we learned was compassion isn't just like an emotion like, oh, wow, that's so sad. Oh, I feel bad. But compassion's always married with action. Jesus always married compassion with action. And so that's what James is talking about, not just feeling sad about something, but actually doing something and moving forward. with that. And so we've done really well. Our families have done really well. He already mentioned it. We've had more than 100 kids come through here with Vintage families. We've had 17 foster families here at Vintage, and a handful of those adopted. We have 19 kids who were adopted through foster care in this body. And so that I'm very proud of the work you guys do. I do want to say this. I want to clarify a couple of things. I want to say this clearly. Foster care isn't always about adoption. It doesn't have to be. Some people adopt. You know those people. We have them here in this body. And that is really beautiful. But a lot of times fostering leads to just investing for a season, and it might be a really short season. It could be a couple of weeks. It could be a couple of months. It could be longer than that. But one of the things we know about foster care is that when we do this, we're trusting the Lord would use our obedience, our care, our love to bring healing to kids. And there is never something too small. It makes a difference. So that's really important. One of the things to know is that the state, the goal of the state is always reunification with parents. And so a lot of times they're looking to send kids back to their families. And so many times people who foster have kids for very short seasons, and then they look at those times and say, Lord, use this to form attachments for these kids so they can see healthy attachment. Use this time to show them that they're loved and cared for, and they can have hope and get healing. And so that's what we're here for, to do these things. And it's important to know that your time and investment really matters in the trajectory of a kid's life and how they view themselves and how they view safety and just how to live life. And so in our country, I'm not sure if you guys know, but in our country, state, and nation, it's a real crisis. Foster care is a huge crisis. And actually locally, between Bartow, Paulding, and Cobb, we have over 650 kids in care. That's a ton. That's 13 very full school buses of kids right here in our community that are in foster care. That's a ton. And it's not slowing down. And so this is where the church is needed. There are lots of families that need support. Our child welfare workers, they have huge caseloads, they're burnout, they're tired, they need support. And so that's when it's time for the church, and our church as well, to step in and make a difference, right? And so there's lots of different things we do. But I wanted to talk just for a second about what the goals are for Vintage for next year, or in this next year. First, we are praying for at least one new foster family to rise up in Vintage. At least one. And I feel like there is at least one. We really think there's someone here today that's part of our community that's feeling a nudge from God to do this. And so I'm asking, if that's you, ask questions. Know that you won't walk alone. We have a huge team of people here that'll be here to support you, have your back, answer questions, support you in what you're doing. But don't ignore the nudge. Don't ignore the nudge. Second, we want to keep growing our wraparound care ministry. So right now we have 3 really incredible wraparound care teams. And what those teams do is they come and they wrap around our families who've adopted through foster care. And also they invest into foster kids in our community by events we've had. We've had a Easter egg hunt for local foster kids for the last 2 or 3 years. We do trainings for DFACs. We brought in therapists for them in August, and we bring all sorts of things to encourage them. We do dessert bars and all sorts of things to basically say, we see you, we know your load is heavy, we know you don't get paid well, we know you carry a lot of secondary trauma, and we want to support you. And so we want to grow another wraparound care team for the families that are going to step up to foster this year. Because I do believe there are people in this room, and maybe even that aren't here this morning, but consider Vintage part of their family, that are thinking about fostering, that have the nudge, and they're maybe a little scared. It's daunting. It's it can be scary, maybe even a little intimidating, but we don't do it alone. You have a community of care here for you. And so we have a body of Christ and a family at Vintage that will come around and partner with you. So every yes matters. It doesn't matter whether you're opening your home for a kid or you're saying, hey, I want to be on a wraparound care team, or I want to be part of the team that goes and just loves on the child welfare workers who need it. To say, this is the deal. So thank you for everybody who's fostered. Thank you for our families who've adopted. Thank you for the people who've invested and been on care teams. You're living out what James 1:27 calls pure religion. So thank you for that. So if you are currently part of a wraparound team, if you have fostered or have adopted, serving in this area at all, would you just stand for a moment? I know he did this, but this is a little bit more of a widespread thing. You don't have to be wearing a shirt. Yeah, church, can we give them a hand for... These are the people that remind us when faith, what it looks like when faith is an action, and when compassion isn't just an emotion, but it's actually an action also. So thank you guys for what you're doing. There's space for you. If you haven't plugged in, if there's a nudge that you're feeling from the Holy Spirit about maybe I should foster, or if you just have questions, find someone with one of these shirts on or talk to me after. I would love to process what that looks like for you. How you can, whatever your yes looks like, I'd love to process what could that look like in your family, answer questions you have, and come find me after service. So when the church steps into broken places, that's where God does some of the most beautiful things. And so thank you guys for that. Let's keep being that type of church, the kind that follows Jesus into the really hard places where we don't know what's going to happen, but we're choosing to trust him in it. So thanks, you guys. And again, find some of our team or me if you want to talk more about it.
All right. Let me invite our worship team to come forward as we just close our time out this morning again. I love, how many of you love the mornings when Laura paints? Yeah, super fun, right? Again, if you're new at Vintage and like the whole painting thing, we basically recognize historically, art is just has been historically a precedent of worship in the church for years and years and years. And so we're very fortunate for our resident artists who come and again as part of worship, just worshiping God through a painting. And I love this picture here. Obviously, it's some long-haired man. I have no idea who he is, who's walking. Now, obviously, this is Jesus. I'm representing Jesus who was walking with a small child. And I want you to receive this word a couple different ways. I think, one, obviously, this is this picture of Jesus who's coming alongside at-risk children, just loves them. He talks about, hey, I would much rather tie a millstone around someone's neck and throw them into the ocean than have them hurt small children, right? Like that's a really like crazy statement to say, but it speaks to the passion of who Jesus is, and it speaks to his passion of fighting for them. And so here he is in doing that. And in the flip side, I think it was intentional this morning, this picture earlier in worship of Jesus coming after you with great intention, like you are his child. And so this morning, I recognize it's a both and, right? It's good. It's like, and that's the thing I want you to hear. It's like, yes, there's actions with compassion that we need to give ourselves to be Jesus to the world, but also to recognize that as we're giving ourselves away, he is a perfect father. We are his children, and he is loving us at the same time. It's not like I've reached a place of maturity and now just run off from Jesus and now go fight for people. He's like, no, you're still my kid. I'm still walking with you. There are moments we actually need to pull away from all of that like Jesus did and just receive from me because I am your perfect loving Father. I get you. And so this morning, I want you just to receive both, the call to action this morning, but the call of recognizing also that I am called to action with the Father who walks with me hand in hand and loves me perfectly.